We're going to have a quick one today because there is tornadoes in my area. So we don't want to fuck around and be out here for too long. But welcome back, Barbecue Pit. We're live, UFC Vegas 34 or UFC ESPN 29, whichever you want to call it. Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. Let's jump right into it. First fight on the main card, Alejandra Panduja versus Brandon Rozelle. Pantoja, 23-5, never been finished in his career. 8 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. His most recent fight was a decision win over Manel Cop, in February. He's 7-3 in the UFC. He's got losses to Stevenson Figueiredo, Askar Askarov, and Dustin Ortiz way early in his UFC career. Royval's coming in with the same reach as Pantoja, but with a 4-inch height advantage. He's 12-5. He's only been finished once, and that was in his last fight, a TKO loss to Brandon Moreno, now champion, back in November of 2020. 8 out of 12 of his wins via submission. 2-1 in the UFC. He's got wins over Tim Elliott and Kaikar of France, former LFA flyweight champion. And this is going to be a classic grappler versus striker kind of matchup. Pantoja is also a really good grappler, so I think he's going to be able to stop the takedowns. And when they get to the ground, he's going to be able to scramble and get back up and turn it into a striking match, which I think he will win. So I'm going to go Alejandra Pantoja on this one. Vince Pichelle will be going up against Austin Hubbard. Pichelle 13-2, 8 wins by knockout. He's got losses to Rustem Kubulov, knockout, and then he got submitted by Gregor Gillespie. He's got UFC wins over Jim Miller, his most recent, Roosevelt Roberts, and Damian Brown. His last fight was August of 2020. And the guy, a lot of people point to the fact that he hasn't fought in a long time. Each time he does fight, he kind of goes a good bit in between fighting. But, he's fought, the only guys he's lost to, Gillespie and Kabulov, both very high level. Kabulov, this was, we're talking 5-6 years ago, so Kabulov was doing very well in the UFC at this time. He'll be going up against Austin Gilbert, who's 13-5, never been knocked out in his career, only been submitted twice. He's 3-3 in the UFC. He's got wins over Dakota Bush. That was his last fight, April 2021. Max Roschoff, where he kind of retired on the bench there in the middle of rounds. And then Kyle Pollock, he's a former LFA lightweight champion. He's got cardio, man. He's got really good cardio. He's a good striker. He's got a really stiff jab. Pichelle has got extremely good striking, though. And these guys, if they're very similar in size, I would have to give the advantage to Pichelle. So I'm just going to go Vince Pichelle knockout, possibly. Austin Hubbard's got a really good chance if it goes to decision. I'm going to go Vince Pichelle. Chase Sherman versus Parker Porter is a great fight. Very interesting if you look at all the particulars of it. Chase Sherman 15-7, 14 knockout wins, 4 losses by knockout. He's got no wins or losses by submission. He was in the UFC in 2016 to 2018. He went 2-5 in that time. He got released, went 3-0 in Island fights, comes back, wins his debut in the UFC against Isaac Villanueva by knockout, and then lost his last fight to Andrei Arlovski in April. He's a former BKFC heavyweight champion. He's got a 4-inch height and a 3-inch reach advantage over Parker Porter. Now, Parker Porter's last fight was a decision win over Josh Parisian, November of 2020. Parisian is the same exact size as Sherman. He is predominantly striker with 10 out of 14 of the wins being knockouts. And he's got somewhat similar of a fighting style. He's a young guy as Chase Sherman. Parker Porter 11-6, 5 wins by knockout, former reality fighting heavyweight champion. He previously fought for CES, Bellator, never won the title there, but he won in reality. 1-1 in the UFC, got knocked out by Chris Dawkins in his debut, and then won a decision over Josh Parisian in his most recent fight. Parisian, I don't think, is on the same level as Chase Sherman. I think Chase Sherman has better boxing and better stand-up. Parker Porter is got decent grappling, but I'm going to have to go Chase Sherman on that one. I think his striking is going to be way too much for Parker Porter, much like we've seen with Chris Dawkins, who, although might have a little bit of a size advantage over Parker Porter, wasn't coming into that fight as fast as Chase Sherman will more than likely be coming into this fight. Chase Sherman is really fast and quick heavyweight. So I'm going to go Chase Sherman on that one. Also, I'd just like to pause 4 minutes into the video. I didn't say anything about this. Sorry, but my boy Ian could not make it to this one. He is rescuing puppies. So nobody jump on his shit. Don't call him out. He's doing a very noble thing in rescuing puppies. So shout out to my dog Ian. Save the world one puppy at a time. I love it. Moving on. Clay Guido versus Marco Madsen. Both come from a wrestling background. Clay Guido been wrestling since 5 years old. Division III wrestler. 36-20 professional MMA record. 13-10 by submission, although he's a great grappler. 7-2 by knockout. 15-7 by decision. He's got great cardio. He's always known to be fresh in the final round. His last fight was decision win over Michael Johnson in February. Michael Johnson's kind of fallen off, but it's still very impressive to be able to outlast and win a decision over Michael Johnson, who's got heavy hands. He's a great boxer. We talked about his wrestling background. Marco Madsen, though, a 7-time gold medal winner in Greco-Roman from 2005 to 2017. 11-time gold medal winner in the Danish Wrestling Federation from 1999 to 2017. He has a gold medal in the Olympics of Greco-Roman back in 2016 when it was in Rio. Excuse me. He's 10-0 in MMA, 2-0 in the UFC. TKO win over Danilo Bellinaro, and then a decision win most recently over Austin Hubbard. But that win was in March of 2020. Therefore, he has went well over a year without a fight. And you know, when you're coming into a fight like this, Mark Madsen has shown that his cardio kind of does dip off in the later rounds a little bit. But if we're talking about strictly wrestling versus wrestling, grappling versus grappling, I think it's not even a question that Marco Madsen is the better grappler and the better wrestler. With that being said, I think this, if not a striking match, is pretty easily handed to Marco Madsen. Even if it's a striking match, I think Marco Madsen has a really decent chance. He's got power in his hands. He's a great kickboxer. Marco Madsen has more tools to victory, I think. So I'm going to go Marco Madsen on that one. Jared Cannonier, Kevin Gastelum in the main event. This one's kind of simple to break down. Cannonier 13-5, never lost by submission in his career. 2 losses by knockout. 6-5 in the UFC. He's a former AFC heavyweight champion. 9 wins by knockout. Last fight, a decision loss to Robert Whittaker, October of 2020. So almost a year off. Gastelum 16-7-1. 1-4 in his last 5 fights, with his last fight being a decision loss to Robert Whittaker, but that was back in April. So a lot more recently than Cannonier fought. His last win was over Ian Heinisch a little earlier that year. I think it was February. And he is 9-7-1 in the UFC. Kevin Gastelum has been known to have a lower center of gravity for that division, for the middleweight division. Very good at takedown defense, takedowns in general. Power in his hands. He was able to knock out a great boxer in Michael Bisping. But Cannonier's power, I think, is just severely overwhelming for that middleweight division. We're talking about a guy who used to fight heavyweight for a while, fought light heavyweight for a while, and now is fighting at middleweight. And although, you know, he did lose to Robert Whittaker, he went on a tear before that in the middleweight division. Cannonier, it seems like the obvious pick to me. I know I'm saying that, and Kelvin Gastelum could pull some shit out of his ass, but I'm going to go Jared Cannonier in this one. Probably knockout. Rest of the card pans out. Austin Lingo taking on Luis Saldana. Brian Kelleher versus Domingo Pilarte. Bay Maletsky taking on Josie Nunez. William Knight will be fighting Fabio Charant. The fight was supposed to happen, I think, a month ago or so. Roosevelt Roberts versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Sasha Pavlovic going against Ramaz Bramahaj maybe. And then most recently announced Saad Yaqub taking on Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones, within the last 2 or 3 weeks, has 4 different opponents. So hopefully this fight being announced on a Tuesday, hopefully it makes it. No COVID, no visa issues. Hopefully he's there already. It's on a fucking Tuesday. But hopefully we get to see Trevin Jones fight. I'm really looking forward to it. He did pretty good in his first 2 fights. So good luck, Trevin Jones. Like I said, this is going to be an early one. The storm's getting pretty bad out here. I got a fucking tree that knocked down my goddamn power line again. Not a working power line, but an old power line that for some reason they won't take down in my fucking backyard. So that's hanging low now. Again, I got fucking people to come back out, tighten it back up, or hopefully I can convince somebody to take it down because it's fucking useless. But yeah, trees are falling out here. The wind is crazy, lightning like a motherfucker. And I was told about 30 minutes ago to seek shelter immediately. I don't see any reason why I would do that, but, I'm going to go do that anyway. So you guys have a good one. Stay barbecued. Watch the fights on Saturday. They're going to be great. I know everybody's saying, hey, it's a little watered down of a card. Clay Guido has a co-main event. What the hell? He's getting old. 56 pro fights. This guy. Mark Madison, though, that stylistic matchup is worthy of a co-main event, in my opinion. With Guido with his wrestling background, wrestling since 5 years old. Marco Madsen with the extensive Greco-Roman record that he has, extensive gold medals that he has won. I think easily that fight makes a great co-main event. And everybody should be watching this Saturday. So until next time, holla at me. Shout out to the PFL on Thursday, Bellator on Friday or Saturday, I think, one of the two. UFC on Saturday. Catch you next Tuesday. Ian will be back. Easy E, motherfuckers, next Tuesday.